The Supreme Court will weigh in on whether lying to get citizenship can justify revoking it. Can a long-ago lie cost a potential citizen, an immigrant, her U.S. citizenship? And that is what the Supreme Court is considering. It's the case of an ethnic Serbian woman from Bosnia who lied during her refugee status and later citizenship application process about why she was seeking the U.S. as her permanent home. Divina Maslenjak and her husband, Ratko Maslenjak, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, if not, I apologize, obtained refugee status in 1999, moved to Akron, Ohio a year later. They said they feared persecution back in Bosnia because her husband had refused to serve in the Bosnian Serbian military, but that was untrue. He had, in fact, served as a commander of a unit of the military that had been linked to war crimes that killed thousands of Bosnian Muslims and resulted in the exodus from the city of Srebrenica from about 30,000 women, children, and senior citizens. Both were convicted of immigration document fraud, deported last year, and stripped of their citizenship. And that's where we'll bring in our immigration lawyer and managing partner at Wildes and Wildes and Weinberg, Miichael Wildes, former mayor of Englewood, New Jersey. Michael, how are you?
Wonderful, David. It's been a long time. How are you?
Well, it's good to have you here, Michael. And with the change to my new time slot at 9 to noon on Monday, we're gonna put you to work. You know, you've been out of office. We need to give you some honest work again.
Always appreciate your comments and our debates and dialogue in the last several years, and we find ourselves in the chambers of Fox News quite often.
Well, we do, and, we have our agreements and our differences, but let's look at the legal angle here, and that's why I wanted you on this. You looking at it as the attorney, when you hear the description of what I just read and the falsification from a legal standpoint, where do you assess this?
Well, quite honestly, it seems in my mind to be quite material. The question is it material to the wife's case herself? It's certainly a fraud on behalf of the husband, who was part and parcel, perhaps, of a genocide of other people, ethnic Muslims from that region. Then to say that he had never served in the military, the question is it a lie from the wife? And this is where we got into this debate where the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court actually said, listen, ladies and gentlemen, last week I was driving and I ended up going 60 in a 55-mile-an-hour speedway. Does that mean that my citizenship would be revoked? One of the questions, David, on the citizenship application is, were you never arrested for something you did wrong that you should have been arrested for? Now, there are a lot of young people that have that lie, and it's a minor lie. We're not Puritans. There are people that drive too fast. There are childhood nicknames that are omitted from applications because people forget them. The question ultimately is, from a legal point of view, was this a material misrepresentation? And your listeners should know that generally there are two methods of prosecuting this. First is a civil denaturalization, where the standard is a material misrepresentation, where the standard is a clear and convincing standard. The other is a criminal denaturalization, where the government can prove that somebody knowingly procured citizenship and what they did was contrary to the law. This is implicitly including materiality.
Now,
so
that would sound like, Michael, it's more about, if I could interject,
sure.
That material aspect you just talked about, that would be more applicable to the husband because he obviously served, was involved in this unit, had been charged and found guilty. Is that correct?
That's right. And what would be relevant here is that we're trying to make sure that those homegrown terrorists, that people who become U.S. citizens, cannot hide or veil themselves behind a U.S. passport, that the war on terrorism, despite all of our debates about putting up walls and trying to shore it up at our borders, could be spun from people who are radicalized or hail from the 50 states within our borders. Again, with all the debate of stopping terrorists at our borders, particularly the southern border, we have over 11 million people here already, many of whom who have gone into the system legitimately who may have lied. And the question is just how fragile it is. One of the Supreme Court justices says that a decision like this demeans the priceless value of citizenship. That, in other words, we're not Puritans. People not engage in white lies, but inadvertently may not understand forms. How many people...
Well, I understand the white lie aspect of it, and I think there's a fair point being made there. However, there is a standard, and let's apply the standard. You're applying for citizenship to the United States. You're right. No one is a Puritan in this country, and we're not all angels. However, this lie wasn't she was in the car and aware of the speeding that he was undertaking or whatever example follows to that. She was married to this man and knew what he was doing. So that's a different. That's a standard. That's a. It's
if they were married when he was in the military. If it's proven that she was aware, what if legitimately the husband did not tell the wife, or the wife wasn't aware of his complicity?
That would be a fair point. We would have to believe that as the wife of her husband, she had no knowledge of him at all,
right?
And what his unit had done that had been put.
Bernardino attacks. We see complicity with a spouse, with other, individuals and situations. I think the sense of propriety has to do with the materiality here. And I think ultimately what we want to do is not allow people to protect themselves if they inadvertently or they purposefully committed fraud. An element of getting citizenship historically, and I teach this in a law school at Cardozo Law School in New York, is having good moral character. And a person there is proven to be a person of good moral character if they pay taxes, if they are transparent about their trips internationally, and if they don't lie on any material question. And thank God the questions are now changing and evolving. We're still asking people 30, 40 years later, are they a Nazi, when we should be wondering more if they've trained in terrorist camps or if they've traveled to
and I understand
the
that.
world.